Welcome back to the Fire 15 Player Series presented by TrueCar.
Frank is Chicago. I always say when people say, what about Frank? Frank is Chicago. When you think of any soccer in Chicago, you think of Frank Klopas.
The Fire needed him when it was formed. They needed a player who the fans could identify with, and Frank was that guy.
Frank's a unique story in the fact that he's a Chicago native and had his start in Chicago, and you know, he had a very successful career, even going overseas. And when he came back to play MLS, initially with Kansas City, but ended up finishing his career in Chicago, which is pretty unique and pretty special.
The day that Frank arrived to the team, he came in sort of halfway through preseason. And literally the day he came, you could feel all of his positive energy and now the pride that he felt in what the Chicago Fire was going to become.
He had that experience internationally. He still could score. Whether he was on the field at the start or coming off the bench, he knew what it took. And he's another guy who just had that fighting spirit.
His skill on the ball was just amazing. He worked so hard in training, and he didn't accept mediocrity. He always wanted you to work hard. And
he helped us understand what the team was going to mean to the community and helped put a lot of passion into the team. And I think that was something that then we all sort of understood and accepted, and it made us better from the day he showed up until now.
Well, he's the guy that the fans relate to. I was just talking with a couple of fans last night, and they sit right behind the Fire bench, and they really feed off the energy that he brings to the game.
Some people say Armas, some people say Nowak, and I don't disagree, but I think CJ is the epitome of what the Fire represents, and I think he picked it up from Armas and Nowak. He's the longest-serving Fire player ever, 13 seasons, 372 games with one club in this day and age is just, it's not often accomplished. And
yeah, CJ is a guy who was here from day one and was the first guy to greet everybody coming in and always set the tone as far as what it means to play for the Chicago Fire.
Yeah, CJ was one of my mentors. A guy I always looked up to. Coming, even I'm sure Carlos will tell you the same thing. Coming for me from high school and Carlos from college. He was a person that came to training every day, worked hard. He was a good role model to look up to.
I tell you, CJ was a warrior. He was a warrior through and through. I'll never forget one game. They were playing Kansas City, and he was battling Mo Johnston. And the two got into it, and they carried the battle right off the field. And he was a very intense player, very focused player, durable. I mean, his playing record for all the years he played and the games he played speaks for itself.
But the one thing with CJ, he just, never took it for granted. He stepped on the field knowing that this might be my last day, and that's the way he went about his business, and that's why he had such a long career.
The work ethic, again, he wasn't the most athletic guy in the world, but he really put his heart and soul into it, and he learned what it meant to have that tradition, honor, and passion, and what it meant to wear the badge, and he became the captain, and he deserved it. He was the captain.
You could even see in that last year, even as he was slowing down, even as he was getting hurt, he still had a dedication to the badge that you don't often see in this day and age in soccer. CJ was rough, he was never flashy, but he always got the job done, and I think that's what people came to appreciate about him in Chicago.
Yes, Peter Nowak came in at a very critical time. I mean, he was the first player signed by the Fire, and I don't think that many people in Chicago really knew of him then, even though he was an established player in Europe and Poland especially.
The thing that sticks out about Peter is just the way he could counterattack. Him getting the ball in the defensive third and just turning and running at the defense. It was just so much fun to watch.
I mean, obviously Peter was a great player. One of the best that has played in the MLS to this point, and probably will go down as one of the greatest ever, at least for me. And maybe I'm biased a little bit and all our fans. He was a great player.
He had a tough role in leading a very new, young team, and the record speaks for itself. The very first season, he led them to two championships, the U.S. Open Cup and the MLS Cup.
Competing, fighting, rolling up your sleeves in tough moments and never giving up. That kind of determination, I think that what we had in that team in '98. And Peter was our leader, the captain. Not only was he a fantastic soccer player, that technically very good, and his ability now and his pace to be able to beat players and create opportunities for others. Very unselfish, but now just without the ball, just his will that he imposed and made sure that everybody stepped on the field, and we had that kind of grit and fight and determination and never giving up, and which I think personifies the city of Chicago.